What if your cat is not cold, like you have always believed, but has simply learned to live in silence without being understood by you? Think about it carefully, because this could completely change how you see it. You come home after a long day, tired, your mind full of things. You open the door, expecting some kind of connection, even if small, even if subtle. And there is your cat, in the same place as always, watching in silence. It doesn't come closer, doesn't react, doesn't seem excited by your presence. And you look at it and think that it's just like that, independent, distant, different. You tell yourself that cats are cold, that they don't need as much as a dog. But what if everything you believe is not really true? What if that silence you see every day is not peace, but a way to protect itself? Because there is something very few people truly understand about cats. They do not express pain the way a more obvious animal would. They do not seek attention when something deeply bothers them. They don't make noise. They don't exaggerate. They don't warn you directly. They observe, they process, and little by little, they adapt to what they live through. They get used even to what hurts them, to what causes them stress. They learn to live with emotions they cannot explain or release. And that's where something begins that most owners never see, because there are small gestures, daily habits, details that are almost invisible to you. Things you do without bad intentions, believing that everything is fine. But that for your cat may be confusing, uncomfortable, or even painful. And the hardest thing to accept is this: your cat will never tell you, not with meows, not with clear signals, not in an obvious way. It will simply keep it inside, in silence. So if you truly love your cat, stay until the end, because what you are about to discover may already be happening right now in your own home, and you are still in time to change it. And many times, everything begins with something that seems completely harmless, a small gesture, almost automatic, that you repeat every day without thinking. For example, when you pick it up in your arms without asking whether it really wants that contact, you bring it close to you with affection, believing it is a sign of love. But in its world, that moment may feel like an unexpected invasion, because unlike dogs, cats do not always seek constant contact. They value space, control, and the ability to decide when to come close. And when that is broken, even for a few seconds, something changes inside them. You won't see it immediately. There won't be an exaggerated reaction, just a slight tension in its body, a gaze that turns away, a deeper silence. Another moment happens when you ignore its more subtle signals. That tail movement, that slow blink, that way of walking away without noise, small messages that go unnoticed, but say much more than you imagine. Because your cat does communicate with you, it just doesn't do it the way you expect. And when you don't understand it, when you don't respond to those signals, something begins to build up. It is not anger, it is not rejection, it is disconnection. An emotional distance that grows little by little, without you realizing it. It also happens when you change its environment without warning. You move objects, change schedules, alter its daily routine. For you, it is normal, even necessary. But for your cat, it means losing control of its own world. And when a cat feels it has no control, a stress appears. A silent, constant stress that is not always visible. It does not break things. It does not make noise. It does not show it clearly. But it is there, affecting how it feels, how it perceives you. And the most unsettling part of all is that this is probably already happening right now, in small moments that seem insignificant, in habits you never questioned, in forms of affection that your cat never chose. And when all of that repeats day after day, something begins to change slowly. Not in an obvious way, not suddenly, but in small, almost invisible details. Your cat is still there, at home, in the same places as always, but it is no longer exactly the same as before. Maybe it sleeps more than usual, or avoids certain spaces without any clear reason. Perhaps it stops coming close like it used to, or stays watching from a distance. It doesn't run away, it doesn't completely hide, but it no longer feels the same with you. There is an invisible barrier that begins to form little by little, a distance that is not noticeable in a single day, but becomes clear over time And the hardest part is that many owners do not recognize it, because everything seems normal on the surface. The cat eats, sleeps, walks. Apparently everything is fine. But inside, something is no longer in balance. Silent stress does not always turn into an immediate problem. Sometimes it builds up over days, weeks, even months, until one day, it appears in the form of unusual behavior, unexpected scratching, rejection of contact, mood changes without explanation, or something even more subtle, like a complete disconnection from you. And at that point, many people begin to wonder what happened. When did their cat stop being close or stop trusting? But the truth is, it was not just one moment. It was many small moments that seemed insignificant. Small decisions, small habits, repeated without awareness. So if you've made it this far, I want to ask you something very simple. Stay until the end of this video, because in the next few minutes, you will begin to see your cat differently. You will recognize signals that once went unnoticed. And most importantly, you will understand what you can change starting today, because you are still in time to recover that connection. But first, you need to see what you are not seeing before. And no, this is not about changing everything overnight. It is not about becoming perfect or doing everything right all the time. It is about something much simpler, but also much more important. To start truly observing your cat, without assuming, without rushing to interpret, to look at it as a being that feels, that perceives, that responds to every detail, because your cat is communicating with you all the time, even without words, in the way it moves its tail when you approach, in how it looks at you, in how it walks away, in how it chooses to stay. All the information you need is right there if you decide to see it. For example, before touching it, before picking it up, before getting closer, pause for a brief moment, almost imperceptible. Give it the chance to choose whether it wants that contact or not. Because when a cat can choose, it feels safe. And when it feels safe, it begins to trust again. It is also important to respect its spaces, even inside your own home. That place where it always lies down, where it observes, where it rests. It is not just a corner. It is its control zone, its emotional refuge. And when that space is respected, something changes inside it. Its body relaxes, its mind calms, its energy becomes balanced. Another detail that almost no one considers is routine. Cats need predictability, small patterns that give them stability, similar schedules, consistent movements, an environment that does not constantly change, not because they are rigid, but because that gives them internal security. And little by little, when you start adjusting these small things, without forcing, without invading, without imposing your rhythm over theirs, your cat begins to show itself differently, more present, more relaxed, more connected with you, not because you forced it, but because it felt understood. And that is where everything truly begins to change. And in the end, everything comes down to something much deeper than it seems. It's not just about what you do, but about how your cat experiences it. Because while you believed everything was fine, your cat was learning to adapt in silence, to live with small discomforts it never expressed, to accept situations it did not choose, but could not avoid. And over time, that changes the relationship without you noticing, not abruptly, not from one day to the next, but slowly, like a connection that fades away without making any noise. But there is also something important you need to remember. If you are watching this video until this point, you are already doing something different. You are already paying attention to what once went unnoticed. And that alone can begin to change everything, because cats do not need perfection. They do not need you to do everything right all the time. They need something much simpler and much more human. To be seen, to be respected, to be understood. And when that happens, even in small moments, they respond. Not always with noise, not always with obvious gestures, but with something that cannot be faked: trust. A real connection, calm, quiet, but deeply strong. So the next time you look at your cat, don't ask why it is the way it is. Ask yourself what it is feeling and whether you are understanding it. Because maybe, right at this moment, Your cat does not need more attention. It needs more understanding. If this video made you see your cat in a different way, subscribe and stay on the channel. Because here, we don't just talk about pets. We learn to truly understand them.